Today we're diving into 3 new launches from Lisa Eldridge. We have a lipstick that's meant to feel like an heirloom, a palette inspired by classic New York, and a matte eyeshadow that actually claims to smooth your eyelids. So what are we going to be doing today? Application demos, testing with close-ups and wear tests, and of course, my honest thoughts. All right, let's start with this Liquid Silk eyeshadow in the shade Phoebe. Lisa describes it as a soft focus matte formula that's supposed to actually smooth your lids. It does feel very smooth, and I can see it that it's starting to set, but slowly. It's giving me some playtime here. This liquid shadow has ingredients like lapacho bark extract and shea butter. But how exactly does it smooth out the skin? Now, you know that I'm not a cosmetic scientist. I just Googled it. Supposedly, many plant-derived oils, such as lapacho bark oil, they're known for creating a seamless film on the skin. So when applied to the eyelid, this film, it acts as a primer layer. Think of it like smoothing icing on a cake. It fills in the uneven parts and the rough areas to create a uniform surface. Lisa says that this product also tightens your skin. But how does it do that? Well, it turns out that the lapacho bark also contains tannins. Tannins are compounds with astringent properties. These properties, they cause skin cells to contract, thus creating a mild tightening effect, which then reduces the appearance of lines and texture on the skin. I'm applying this on one eye first to see if it actually makes a difference. And just like Lisa did in her video, I'm gonna use my fingers to blend it out. I really like this light camel color. It's almost the same color of my skin. I'm gonna add a little bit more around this area and continue to just tap. I can see that part of it has already set and it looks a little bit darker than this spot right here that I just applied. And this is supposed to stay put all day, even if you have oily eyelids. Now we're gonna get into the wear test footage for the silk eyeshadow. The footage you've seen so far, that was recorded 3 days ago, and I've been wear testing it ever since. The very first question I had was, did I notice any smoothing effects? Here on the top, it's me with my bare eyes, and below I had already put it on. After I first put it on, I was like, I'm not really seeing any smoothing effects, but I'm gonna wait till I see the footage side by side like we have it right here, and I am still not seeing any smoothing happening. So that was the first question answered. I didn't really see any smoothing effects. Second thing I wanted to test is how well did it wear throughout the day? Did I see any fading or any creasing? So here we can see at the very top what it looked like right after application. Then below that is 4 hours later, and below that 8 hours later. I didn't notice any change whatsoever. It looked the same right after It looked the same right after I applied it compared to 8 hours later. So it performed flawlessly. Now we're gonna move on to day 2 of the wear testing. What I wanted to test is, let's apply Danessa Myricks Her Liquid Eyeshadow, because I think it's a very comparable product, on one eye, and then Lisa's eyeshadow on the other eye. Maybe the smoothing effects will be visible when I compare these two side by side. I don't know. I wanted to see how they both sat on the eyelids and how they wore throughout the day. Okay, also, what I'm doing differently here too is the application. On day 1, I used my fingers. Here, I'm using brushes for both, because I thought maybe I didn't see the smoothing effects because I applied too much. So let me go in with very little product. Maybe that's how you're supposed to apply it. So that's what I did as far as application goes. I used a brush and very little amount of product. And here we can see side by side, I did not notice any smoothing effect at the time. And now that I'm seeing the footage, I am not noticing anything either. I think they both sit on the eyes, on the eyelids the same. What do you think? Are you seeing, let me move to, there we go, that my eyes are semi-closed so we can see the eyelids. I am not noticing a difference. So based on what we're seeing here, I would say both of these look the same. But how did they wear, one versus the other? Here we have the 4-hour check-in on the bottom. As you can see, both products look great. No creasing, no fading whatsoever. I didn't bother to do an 8-hour check-in because both eyes looked intact. Both performed equally well throughout the day. Absolutely impeccable results. Now I'm going to remove it so that I can demo the palette, Fawn. All right, now we're gonna get into the Fawn palette. I'm gonna be using these 3 brushes. This is the first of 3 new palettes from Lisa. What we're looking at is a neutral palette. We have seen a lot of neutral palettes lately. Let's see if this one stands out. One thing that I love so much about Lisa's new product launches is that she goes on her YouTube channel and she tells us about the inspiration behind each product. For the Fawn palette, she wanted to capture the moodiness and the understated glamour of New York's brownstones. Think the elegance, the depth, and the feeling of sophisticated simplicity. All right, let's get into the shades because they're not all the same formula. Each one has its own effect and texture. So let's begin the swatches. This is the box that the palette comes in, and here in the back, we can see the shade names along with the type of texture that it is. So for example, here, Burnt Clove and Supernaturally, they're both seamless mattes. So let's start swatching those 2 first. Here we go with Burnt Clove. And even though this matte formula is the closest you can get to a powder eyeshadow, but in Lisa's world, these are still very creamy, and you see how pretty it has a slight sheen to it. Here we go with Burnt Clove. These have a super smooth diffused finish that adds depth without looking heavy or dry. Next, we're going with Upper West Side. This is a velvet matte. It's this one right here. This formula is creamy, but it has a powdery finish. This color is a perfect base shade. And here they are up close. I will be turning down the lights, especially with the sparkly shades. It's nice to see how they sparkle in low light. This is Debutante. This is the Satin Duochrome. It's this peach with a pink flip that has a really soft sheen. So it's gonna add light without a lot of shimmer. Let's look at the swatch. I'm grabbing some more. Don't expect the boldness and the super mega shine that we get from either indie eyeshadows or let's say the Danessa Myricks eyeshadows, which are very bold. Lisa's style is more subtle. So this shade, it's pretty for adding a hint of brightness. And this is a shade called White Tie. Its texture is called Luminous. It's a sparkly shade and it's gonna give us a wet look glossy finish. This is great for the inner corners or let's say to add a little highlight on the brow bone. It's very refined. It's more of a soft glisten than a full-on sparkle. Look at this reflectivity. Finally, we have Dorian. This is a luster formula. Let's look at it on my finger first. This one has a smooth pearl-like shine and it gives full opacity without being too metallic. Let's take a look here. Plenty of color payoff. This one is great for adding some drama. Take an eye look into more glam territory without using sparkle. You can use Dorian to create smokiness instead. All right, let's get it on the eyes. We're gonna start with this shade, Upper West Side. I'm gonna use this as a base all over the lid. Now with Lisa's formulas, actually not all of them, but this one in particular, you do have to go in several times. They're buildable eyeshadows. So you're not gonna get full-on pigment right off the bat. That is in part what makes them foolproof. Also that they're very easy to blend once they're on the eyes, but the fact that they are buildable. Next, we're gonna go in with Supernaturally. Here we're gonna start creating depth here on the crease. Now this is a daytime look. Next, I'm gonna use Burnt Clove as a liner. Just a soft liner along the lash line. Tiny bit of white tie just to give me a highlight right here. So here's where you can keep it really natural and stop at this, and this will be a very daytime friendly look. But if you want to add a little sparkle, we're gonna put Debutante here in the center lid. So this is that duochrome shade. A little bit of sparkle. And even with this kind of sparkle, you still have a very daytime look. This is gonna catch the light in a subtle way. And here we have it, the final look. It is polished. I look very put together, and it took very little effort. All of the shades work together beautifully. I'm getting distracted by my dry lips. I've only been wearing lip balm up till now in this video because I will be applying the lipstick, which I can't wait to do. So yeah, that wraps things up for the Fawn palette. Now onto the lipstick. Okay, now onto the lipstick. This is the Rouge Experience Lipstick, and the whole concept behind it is that it's meant to feel like an heirloom, something that you'd actually like to keep forever. After watching Lisa's video, that got me really curious, and I did some Googling. Turns out that back in the 1920s and the 1930s, they had refillable lipsticks. They weren't about the sustainability aspect of them. It was more about the luxury and the quality. They became a fashion statement. So they weren't designed for sustainability. They were just made to last. It wasn't until World War II when materials started getting rationed. That's when brands really pushed the refillable concept. So Lisa's kind of bringing that history into this beautiful modern package. The packaging here is really stunning. Oh, I can see myself. It's got this beautiful weight to it, and also a satisfying solid click when you close it. It feels really substantial. And look at these ridges, the detailing. It's one of those pieces you just want to leave out on your vanity because it's that pretty. It's got this old school elegance. It says Lisa Eldridge here, and then you have our logo engraved over here, and it's refillable. So you open it up, and this is the actual refill. What you have is basically both caps. The refill sits in there. You could even just buy a refill and use it as your lipstick without the case, because refills do come with a cap. This one didn't come with its own cap because I bought it as part of the entire thing, so it didn't need a cap per se. The refillable lipsticks from back in the day, the mechanisms of the refills, they were finicky. Something about that when you twisted them, sometimes they wouldn't push up the bullet, or the bullet would get stuck, or the cap wouldn't form an airtight seal, so the lipstick would dry out way too fast. Is this the only refillable lipstick on the market? No, it's not. However, this is the only 100% recyclable refill. This is a single piece, and it's made of 100% aluminum. And what I understood about her video is that other brands that have refillable lipsticks, the actual component is not fully recyclable. The website also gives you an option to get yours monogrammed. So here we go, Phoebe Made Up. I've already tried it. I could not wait. I got it in the shade Lisa. This shade is described as a lively neutral pink. Oh, and look how pretty this is. That also, never mind this. The bullet, look how pretty that you get her logo in there too. All right, so here we go, Lisa. About the shape of the bullet, the top of the teardrop, it's designed so you can use it to contour your lips a little bit if you want, using that tip. But how pretty does it look? Look at that. I'm gonna look really sophisticated pulling this out of my purse and touching up my lipstick, aren't I? Look at that. Let's talk about the shade. I don't know why I picked this one because it was clearly described as a pink, and I'm not one to love pink on my lips. Maybe if I would have gone with either Simone or Ashes of Roses, those two, I really would have liked that. I mean, I'm still gonna wear the shade. It's just not my preference. Now, the formula, how does it feel on the lips? It doesn't feel like anything. I feel like I'm wearing nothing. It's just so comfortable. It's one of those lipsticks where you put it on and you forget about it. There's no dryness, there's no stickiness. It feels like you're not even wearing lipstick, which is perfect if you're like me and you prefer not to feel the makeup that you have on your face. Now, in terms of pigment payoff, look at that. Gives you very nice payoff. I had already swatched it here, but I messed up the swatch. Actually, no, this swatch looks a lot nicer than this one. My point is that the pigment is there. This is not a tinted lip balm where it just has a little bit of color, and if you want the color to really come through, you have to build it and build it and build it. This one does give you color. It gives you coverage. Overall, I am very impressed. This lipstick, it looks and it feels luxurious. It feels luxurious also in your hand, and it just fits into Lisa's brand of quality and attention to detail. Is Lisa my perfect shade? Probably not, but that's the beauty of the refillable case. I can just pop this out and switch it for another shade. There was some fading, which is normal, especially after eating, but nothing a quick touch-up wouldn't fix. What I'm the most excited about is this component. Knowing that this can last me forever and that I could pass it down if I wanted to. I think the majority of us, we're not used to owning makeup like that. I really love it. This feels very special. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my final thoughts. The liquid eyeshadow in Phoebe. This is a yes for me, and I'm loving the shade because it's so close to my own skin tone. I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this, both as an eyeshadow primer, but also as a one and done eyeshadow color. The Fawn palette, perfect for anyone who likes those sculpted tones, those neutral tones with a hint of shimmer. Whether you're going for something glam or something more subtle, this is a solid all-day choice. And the Rouge Experience lipstick, well, I've already told you guys that I love it very, very much. Maybe not the shade, but the component is beautiful, and I'm so happy that I got it monogrammed. I think it was an extra like $4 to get it monogrammed. It's luxe, it's refillable, just something beautiful to have in your collection. If I had to pick a favorite, well, you know that it's the lipstick. I mean, the case is absolutely stunning. All three products have something unique to offer, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Let me know in the comments which one you'd like to try first, or maybe you already purchased one. Let me know your thoughts, opinions. Give me a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this deep dive, and consider subscribing so that you don't miss future videos, and I'll see you. Hey, I think I'm starting to like the pink.